Hey there, this is B. Wendy Jackson. I wanted to quickly interrupt you before you listen to the next episode. Listen, thank you for your support with the podcast. Those of you who've been following me since January 2020, I really appreciate you. I want to hear from you. You can send me a message at info@AAOP as in Paul, C as in Charlie, S as in Snake.net. I would love to hear from you. Also, if you have not rated and reviewed the podcast, would you do that for me, please? It also allows people to find the podcast. This is growing. The podcast is growing, and I'm so excited. I've had to update my little commercial because my name has changed and my website has changed in terms of where you receive the books. So if you have not purchased your books, I got the opportunity and the gift to write two books. The first one is Empowerment for You, Encouragement for Your Emotional and Spiritual Wellness. Listen, I love this book. It is definitely a book that invites you to experience hope, help, and healing. And every page, every chapter is really filled with insight, information, and inspiration to be able to help empower you, to be able to help you walk in freedom. I include specific practical tips to help you take charge and take possession of your thoughts and really just control your behaviors or impact your behaviors and impact some changes in your life, cause some changes in your life. And then the second book is Empower to Empower You Reflection Workbook. Love this book as well because it's based on specific podcast episodes where you listen to some episodes and you are able to dive deep into some reflection. I give you some prompts so that you don't have to wonder or think about, well, how do I start to reflect? What do I even write? The prompts are already provided for you. Isn't that awesome? So there are also blank pages for you to journal or whatever you want to do, right? And so I just invite you. You can go on Amazon and just look for B. Wendy. So I don't want to cause any confusion. My maiden name is Bob. So people have known me as B. Wendy Bob for so long. And then July 2022, I was blessed to be married. And so now I'm B. Wendy Jackson. So Amazon, you could just search for the books B. Wendy Bob, and you will find those two books come up. If you have any questions, you could email me. You can also find the resources on my website, AAOPCS.net. That's AAO, P as in Paul, C as in Charlie, S as in Snake.net. Listen, I look forward to hearing from you. May the the books continue to add value to your lives. I'm really thankful for this opportunity to just encourage people all around the world. All right. Enjoy the next episode and have an amazing day on purpose. Well, hello, everyone. This is B. Wendy Jackson, your lovely host of the Empower to Empower You podcast. I hope that you are feeling well and doing okay wherever you're listening from. Those of you who have been following me since January 2020, thank you so much. If you have rated or reviewed the podcast, I really appreciate you. If you've shared the episode with anyone else, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have not, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, Empowered to Empower You podcast is about all things Jesus Christ, mental health, anything to help you become the better version of yourself, think better, think differently, and do better. Listen, I'm excited. I've been having some amazing guests to join the podcast with me and share this platform. And today I have Mrs. Clarissa Joy. Today, we're going to talk about the power of casting vision and setting goals. I want to tell you a little bit about Miss Clarissa. There's so much to share about her, but I'm going to share just a few tidbits about her before she jumps on. Clarissa Joy first of all, I just love her name. And when you meet her, if you were to see her face, literally, she exudes joy, right? So she is a combined 21 years of professional experience, strategy, planning, execution. She's an entrepreneur. First of all, she's a servant of Christ. She's a Christian. She's a wife. She's a mother. She's a corporate executive. She is a motivational speaker. She is a coach. She is a published author. She is a philanthropist. Listen, there is so much to share about Miss Clarissa, but I want her to share more about herself. And so I want to welcome her to the podcast. I need you to get your pens, your pencils, your tea, your coffee, your juice, your water, and be ready to tune in and take some notes because she has a lot to offer. Welcome, Miss Clarissa, to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be a part of your podcast, Be Wendy. I'm just looking forward to this conversation. And hello to your audience. Thank you all for listening and joining into the conversation as well.
Yes, I'm excited to have you. So there's so much to say about you. And so I'm just curious if somebody were to ask you, what are 3 words or phrases to describe what you do and how you serve? Like, what would your elevator pitch be?
Okay. So word number one would definitely be to motivate. So with my company, Dedicated 365, our tagline and what we live every day is motivating women to win big. So that means looking past whatever the current situation may be and really fueling that flame that we all have inside of us. Some flames are larger than others, but really motivating and fueling that flame. Word number two would totally be around strategy. So this is the plan. This is setting goals to achieve goals. Without that, right, then you're planning to fail. And then the third word I would use is connect.
Mm,
I love to connect women and people to resources because that really helps us in the realm of accountability. As long as we are only talking to ourselves about what we want, there really is no accountability.
right.
Also, the other dimension of connection is support. I want us to feel supported as we are into the weeds and beating the streets and really putting our best foot forward to be able to have that community that can embrace us even through the challenging times.
I love that. Motivate, strategy, connect, or support. I love that. So those are like the pillars of
Yes.
dedicated 365 and what you do. I love that. And I know you're going to talk about dedicated 365 a little bit more. Why is casting vision, as we talk about casting vision, goal setting, why is that so important to you?
Oh gosh, I mean, this question is so loaded, and I have to be transparent. It's really near and dear to my heart
Mhm,
because vision truly saved my life.
mhm.
It helped me to positively change my mental trajectory, right? When I think back to my very, very darkest moments in 2010, 2011, and working through, a 3 year, I call it my transformation period, if you will, coming up from the ashes. But what vision did for me, it helped me to put on a different lens, not what I could see with my natural eye in 2010, but looking through the lens of God and through the lens of hope and aspiration into what I actually could move past. Right. And not just looking so much at what's behind me. Sometimes we get so burdened down when we look back behind us and we can't look forward because our necks are all the way to the back. So that's what vision did for me. And from a goal setting perspective, the goals are what helped me get unstuck. Right. It
Mm,
challenged me to be better, to do more, and ultimately really work and put those next steps forward in terms of alignment and what I'm doing each day in alignment with the person I am and or the person that I desire to become. And ultimately, success is living the life that we love. That doesn't always equal a certain dollar figure. But today, I honestly can say through vision and goal setting and attainment, I'm able to wake up every single morning and love the life that I lead. So that couples with my mission because now that I know I've come from that place 2010, fast forward to now in the future, I want to give that same hope and motivation and aspiration to everybody else, especially women, that it can and will happen. Right. So that's really, like I said, this question was really loaded and near and dear to my heart because
yeah.
I've lived how vision and goal setting is not just a buzzword, but it's transformational.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for answering that. So looking back to 2010, and I really appreciate your transparency, which is so instrumental for leadership, right? Like
Mhm.
looking back to 2010, can you say that you saw 2023, like you saw yourself doing what you're doing today? Or
No,
is it beyond what you even imagined?
it's beyond. Back then, I had gone through divorce. My daughter was just 14 months old. And my total mindset at that time was survival through the day. I wasn't even thinking about the week or the month or the quarter or the year. It was surviving that single day.
Mhm.
So, did I ever have a thought of where I would be today? Absolutely not. I mean, I knew in Christ, we say in Christ, all things are possible, but we don't really contextualize that all things, right? So, so to answer your question, no, this
Yeah.
definitely surpasses my goal and thoughts back then were just from a survival perspective, really and truly, mostly around my daughter, my child. I wasn't thinking about me, like what I wanted. I would have never asked myself, what do I deserve and desire in 2010? It was, is my daughter okay? How is this divorce going to impact her and the person that she becomes, even as a young adult? So, no, I wasn't thinking about me at all.
Yeah. What was it that made the shift? I mean, I cannot, I can only imagine what that was like for you with just kind of focusing on getting through the day, focusing on getting to the next hour, making
Uh-huh.
sure you have basic needs met, and worrying about, are my basic needs going to be met? And when basic needs are threatened, nothing else matters. We're just trying to keep the lights on. I mean, just recently, by the time this podcast airs, people would have already experienced a storm, and even the lights that were off for several days, and for some people still off. Like, so
Right.
what's it like to experience a shift from survival to I can dream again, like I can set vision?
Yeah, so the shift for me happened when I saw that my daughter was okay. That gave really me that permission to say, okay, exhale now. I had not exhaled in so long. I was just so tight and wound up and keeping it all inside. It was like my every thought and energy went into, is she okay? Is she okay? What can I do? And I probably even, the other side of the coin, overcompensated for the fear that she wouldn't be
Yeah.
okay. When I began to see her, thrive in school, have productive friendships, I was like, okay, I think I'm the one wound up, not her. So that really released me to say, okay, Clarissa, now that you see, I call her my turkey. Now that you see turkey is okay, what you gonna do, girl? What you gonna do? So
Mm,
that for me, that was the shift.
that's
Everybody's shift may look different,
right.
but when I got that, that moment, it was like,
Yeah.
okay, all
Yeah.
right.
That's so good. And I have an example of a person who's kind of in a similar situation, and her daughter seems unaffected by what's happening, but mom is still stuck in that worrying place, in
Yes,
fear. It's almost becomes a place of bondage, because you're just focusing on the worst
absolutely.
case scenarios, the anxiety about all the bad things that could happen to your child, and you're not living at this point. Like, you're just existing, right? And so that's really relevant for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. I would even take that a step further and say you also, tiptoe into the area of paranoia where you
Yes.
begin to allow that trauma, right, to affect
Yes.
how you see and how you view everything ahead. I mean, that's paranoia, right? Like,
Absolutely.
and I mean, we all have heard that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. It's not even real. It hasn't even happened yet. And we're so bound,
Mhm.
excellent word, it's true
Mhm.
bondage of
Mhm.
what could happen, what may happen, and we prevent ourselves from going forward and moving forward and really blossoming and growing because of that fear, anxiety, and paranoia. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's paralyzing. So talk about your product, your baby, dedicated 365, and how it came about.
Yes, absolutely. So this is actually my second baby.
Okay,
My
okay.
first baby, my first company that I started was in 2015. It was called Clarissa Joy Inc. That company was all about helping entrepreneurs get unstuck and to grow their businesses. And then somewhere along the way, I kept getting asked questions by women that were not entrepreneurs. I love what you're doing. It really applies to my life. Can I attend your workshops? Can we connect? And then I finally listened to that nudge and said, okay, Clarissa, your scope has changed. So this is a point here. Sometimes life will change from what our initial values, or not values, but our goals, or where we're headed. And we have to be sensitive and nimble when that happens. And I said, okay, God, I hear you. So in December of 2022, I rebranded and started a new company called Dedicated 365, which is for all women, whether they are stay-at-home mom, they're in corporate, they're an attorney, they're a doctor, they are whatever, entrepreneur. It doesn't matter the profession. These are things that we want to win big in all things, whatever we want to align with. So Dedicated 365 was birthed December of 2022. And the common theme that I saw in all of the people that I've coached over the last 8 years, the common theme was dedication. No matter what their intentions were to achieve success or to hit a goal, it always circled back to how dedicated are you to sacrifice, to put in the work, to keep driving it when it doesn't feel like you have momentum. So, hence the name. So dedicated, and then 365, every single day of the year, we should be doing some action, right? Whether it's planning or physical action towards that goal. So dedicated 365 really encompasses no matter what the person's background or profession is, but we want to be motivated. We want to remain motivated to win big and to achieve those goals. Because truly, if we take a breather, take a moment to dream again, that's what we don't do, because we get really caught up in the busyness of the day. We go, 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 run, run, run. But this is forcing us to take a moment to say, pause, reflect. What do I deserve and desire, right? What are the goals? What's the action plan to achieve that? And then when we achieve that, right, that is living the life that we love. That is the freedom. That is the happiness that we'll feel inside. And then it radiates everything else around us. You ever come into contact with someone that's truly happy? Doesn't matter how much money they have in their pocket, but you just smile because they're smiling.
Absolutely.
That's the mission. That's what we, strive to really help develop and cultivate and bring out of every woman that links with us, that connects with Dedicated 365.
I love that. I love that. So if you could take a minute to just kind of explain, so for people who are listening, women who are listening, and they say, okay, I need this. What are some things that they could expect? Like, what does that look like with Dedicated 365?
Sure, absolutely. So, from a company perspective, we have several different offerings. We've expanded that this calendar years as well. So, firstly, we offer the experience of our in-person as well as remote events, but we call them an experience because it is more than just sitting in an event and listening to someone talk. But they're truly events. They're more workshop style, where we're doing the work, we're providing the guidance and strategy, and then it really helps women to, figure out, what those next steps are. So we just had last Saturday our Women Who Win Big Mastermind, but we've made it quarterly this year. So we have one more opportunity this year. It's on Saturday, October the 7th. They're held at Epicenter Memphis downtown. And then if, guests are not in Memphis, they can connect to the online virtual experience as well. Also coming up in the month of July, we have our women's retreat, which is a Caribbean cruise. Sorry, we are past that deadline, but we will be announcing next month in July our destination for 2024. Is going to be amazing. And then we've also created a companion or supplementary tool that's called our Planner Journal. This tool takes you for 12 months. There's a motivational quote for each month. There's a calendar view that helps you plan for 30 days. There's also a weekly view. So every week I pick up my journal planner and I look at it on Fridays. What have I accomplished this week? And then I also pick it up on Sundays to confirm what do I need to do in the upcoming week. That is just such a powerful tool because there also is a introspective exercise of 5 questions that we walk you through, asking yourself every single month. So, again, that's really a supplementary tool to keep you going even in between the quarterly workshops. And then, rounding out the top of the year in January 2024, 2024, we'll have I believe we're at our 8th or 9th annual vision party, which is all about, empowerment for women. We have guest speakers, vendors, lunch. And we're going to, here's a sneak peek for 2024. We're going to expand it actually to a 2-day event. So more news coming out there. But yeah, we just would love to connect with the ladies. It truly is transformational to be able to get the strategy, to be able to connect and have that accountability, and support from other goal-driven women right within our community. And the last thing I'll mention, we have introduced an online community called Winner Circle. It's on the Mighty Networks app, but it is such a dynamic place for that informal communication. So think of it as your Facebook, but with the goals feeling wrapped all around it. So it's not just talking to people from middle school and high school, but you're talking to other women that want to win big and have the same drive as you have, but want to still be transparent in a safe place. So that's our online community called Winner Circle.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Now, this Caribbean cruise, you got my ears like, what? I have to ask, where are y'all going? Because
Yes, we're so excited. We're leaving July the 21st. We're headed to the Bahamas, Bahami, and we're also going to the Dominican Republic. So we'll be there 6 days. We've got retreats, workshops worked into the retreat, as well as some fun activities just to connect with the ladies. It's going to be a blast. But, stay tuned. We're going to announce our 2024 destination, and we would love for you ladies to join us next year.
How many ladies are going on the retreat this year?
We have 10 for this trip.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I have so many questions, of course, but I don't want to keep you all day. But I do have a question about Dedicated 365 that I probably didn't give you beforehand. You said this started December 2022, so it's almost a year. Mm-hmm. So it's still recently new, but yeah. Okay. So this may be you may not have an answer, or you may have an answer. Have you seen, it hasn't been a full year yet, but have you seen what examples of success stories in terms of just movement, like dedication, like women who are struggling with sticking to it, like sticking to their goals, and because they are involved and plugged in and connected and have the accountability and support, they can report, you know what, I've been able to take the next step.
Yes, absolutely. So we recently had a May challenge, and I love that challenge because actually, I step up to the same challenges that I give the ladies that are connected, right? Because I want to continue growing and evolving as well. And actually, we just birthed a new apparel line of 3 motivational t-shirts as a result of the May challenge. One of the other ladies, she's in accounting, but she had a goal to cultivate this Friendsgiving event and space in November of this year. So it has nothing to do with her professional world, but it's something that was in our heart for years to do, but she seemed to not be able to put that next foot in front of the other. Well, she's created the date, her flyer, her speakers, she's invited people. She is so on fire. She's in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm so proud of her. She's moved forward. We have another lady that's connected with us. She was trying to make a decision about leaving the city where she is. She made the decision. She's making plans now to relocate and move to a different city. We have another young lady that wanted to change careers and, just couldn't get past that fear of, how do I do this? Can I do this? So with the support community, she's moved forward in her career. I'm trying to think of some other examples, but I want to show that when it comes to success and motivation, sometimes we immediately think about being entrepreneurs, which that is a goal for some, but for others, there are so many things that we can really dig deep to find out what we want to do. I hope my mom doesn't mind me sharing this. She's retired and she had a goal to reconnect with some new, friends in her age group. She doesn't like to be called a senior citizen, although she is. However, She is actually at a luncheon right now with a new set of friends that she's met as a result of being connected with us and keep pushing forward. So it doesn't matter if those goals are professional, personal, right, financial. There have been some financial goals that people have had. This is the community, this is the company to connect with so that you can achieve that. And again, it's all goes back to that strategy, connecting that with the accountability and having the support. That's really our not so secret sauce, but putting it into action to help women bring these things to fruition.
That's awesome. I salute the progress with all those women that you mentioned. I know there's probably more. And I love how your goals are so diverse. Like the examples that you provided are on a spectrum, right?
Yes.
From like wanting to relocate to wanting to initiate this dream, this goal, this desire. I think a lot of times when we hear about goals and vision, we go to the big stuff first. Like I need to lose 100 pounds. And I've been struggling with it. And that is a goal, right? But sometimes it's just the next thing that's in front of us that we just need help to navigate, to strategize, to put into action, to move. I just
Mhm.
love those examples of what you provided. So I know there's so much. Go ahead. You want to say something else?
Yeah, I was just going to say this because I love the point that you just made. And this is something that we really emphasize, and that is incremental goals.
Love that.
Because, studies will show you that the number one motivator of people is progress. When
Mm.
you're able to see that you're making progress, it fuels, right, you to keep going and moving forward. So when we have these big audacious goals, they're impressive, but it doesn't move your psyche. So we have to learn how to tap into the things that our brain naturally does and feeds off of and feed it. So if we know that the brain works off of seeing that incremental success to keep moving forward, why don't we give it the celebration that it deserves when we say, okay, we've lost our first 10 pounds of that 100 pounds. So as an example, in the mastermind that we have quarterly, we just walked through that, right? When we thought about the third quarter, we said, there were actually some successes in Q2. No, it may not have been the success that comes after 2 years, but there was a success after the first 6 months of the year. And we took a pause to celebrate that. Sometimes we just get into the motion of moving so quickly that we don't pause to celebrate, because that is what fuels our brains to say, keep going, Clarissa, you have made progress. And then rounding that out, we reset. So if your goal was to lose, 50 pounds in January, and by June, you're at 2 pounds, is it realistic for you to have that goal to still be 50 pounds by December, and you've got 48 pounds to go and there's only 6 months left? There's no benefit in beating yourself up off not meeting a goal, right? The
Right.
benefit is to achieve the goal. So
Right.
why not reset the goal when you see that life has changed or the situation has changed or your progress wasn't as fast as you wanted it to be when you initially set the goal, right? So
Mhm.
that's when we have to be transparent and say, time to reset. And
Mhm.
we celebrate that. We support that. We don't beat you down and say, you didn't lose 50 pounds. You are scum. That's not beneficial. So we're looking to really utilize and leverage what makes us feel good, because the feeling, the emotional side of it, is also what triggers the action. So we're wanting to put that emotion into it to positively shift what those next actions will be.
That's good. That's good. So this one got me excited, but I want to talk about Rise Up Single Mom. Tell the people, what is the heart behind Rise Up Single Mom?
Yes, so I've let the cat out of the bag a little bit. I became a single mom in 2011, after being married. And, after my air quotes transformation period, I made a post on Facebook in 2015, 16, I believe. And it just was simply, wow, I'm okay. It wasn't a post to bash my ex-husband, because I don't believe in that, right? But it was a reflection, a quick reflection that I'm okay. And people gravitated to the message, and I started getting these inbox messages of people with similar stories. And wow, I didn't know that you were navigating that. And I said, okay, God, I'm going to put on this event in 2017. Simply, the whole goal and mission was to recognize and celebrate single moms. Little did I know fast forward a few months later, we would form as an official 501c3 nonprofit. And, we have a board, and our three pillars now are education, emotional health, and entrepreneurship. And also trying to connect single moms to other services and offerings that we may not provide, but they need the knowledge that they exist and they're out there and available for them. So that's how Rise Up Single Mom came to be. Our name came from the book of Genesis, the first single mom. The instruction to her was rise up. Right. She was sitting there crying to herself, and her child comes to her. What's wrong, mom? And the angel says, rise up. So it was like, that's the instruction, right? We are so ready to give like 10 instructions, but we haven't heeded to the first one, which is to rise up. You can't run from a posture of laying down. Can you run if you are stretched out on the ground? You cannot. Right. So how can you go forward until you rise up? So that is where the name came from, Rise Up Single Mom. It isn't a new concept to the Bible or to even the history of women. There's so many stories of women that have, been single moms and been very successful, and even their children go on to be very successful. So that's how we started, 2017, I guess 6 years in now. We're still going. We've got some amazing events coming up for this fall that we're going to share out on our website soon. So we're just, we're excited about it. I have been remarried now for almost 4 years, but that is still my heart. Everything happens on purpose and with purpose. So there was a reason that I was in that, state for a little bit over 8 years, right? So I still have that empathy for single moms, and I still have the drive and desire to really, really help single moms, no matter what their path is. And one of our pillars around emotional health, we named that one because, at the time I was a single mom, I wasn't wondering like where our next meal was going to come from, thank God. However, the emotional health side was just as traumatizing and needed to be worked through, just as sometimes those physical and financial needs. So we sometimes dilute the importance of the emotional and mental side of it, and we just go to feed right, the things in terms of financial, physical, and it's like, hey guys, there's some more there. So we love to highlight that one because everybody looked at the situation, she looks okay, but inside I was about to explode.
Yeah, there is so much I want to ask, but we don't even have the time. Like just what you just said, just that whole navigating singleness again. The word single sometimes comes about with some stigma. It's a stigma, right?
Yes.
Like negative conceptions, judgment, shame, especially divorce. And sometimes that comes even for some people in the body of Christ. Like it's interesting. My husband and I, we are blessed with an opportunity that we're going to start a new life group at our church. And the name of it is Single Again. And we're so excited because these are people that either lost their spouse through divorce, through death, through separation. And the heart behind it is not for people to mope in the grief, but to show them and to share with them that God still has purpose for your life. Like you are not a throwaway. Like you can still thrive even if this has happened, and this is just a stage. It's not necessarily permanent for everybody, right? And you are a testament of that. Like I love that. So I've got to ask you this. How do you do Hagar? Definitely. So the story that you were mentioning was Hagar. I knew it. I just didn't want to interrupt you. The story that you were mentioning was Hagar. Yes. Genesis 21 verse 8. Read the story. She was truly the first single mom. I've never seen it that way, but that is such a beautiful story. And even when you were talking, one of my favorite stories is Hannah. And Hannah was depressed and she was taunted and bullied. I just did a reel or a podcast, one of them, about her. Like she was depressed, she was taunted, she was crying every day, she was bullied. And then one day she was like, listen, I've got to get up and I got to go to the temple and I got to pray. Right? Yeah. Like I love that. So how do you do what you do? Parenting, serving, leading, nurturing, all the things you do, motivating, influencing, and still prioritize your own mental wellness and well-being.
Okay, that's a great question. I really believe it starts with recognizing that it's a necessity and not a luxury.
Mm,
Sometimes we think of wellness as, right now in the social world, it's kind of uh, promoted as manis and petties, right? But it's so much more than that. So it's not one of those luxurious things, but it's actually a necessity. I truly believe if I'm not well, I can't perform optimally. I can't bring my best self if I'm not well. Also, if I don't intentionally tend to my mind, my body, and my spirit, I mean, it can't survive, right? Who has green grass and it's never watered? It's not
mm,
possible. So then you think you actually want to thrive. It's you just can't thrive if you're not feeding it. So I mean, I just say simply, without it, I can't be, I can't um perform and show up as who I need to show up. And that could be in my marriage, as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as an executive. It doesn't matter. I can't show up in any of those spaces if I have deficit, right?
gotcha.
So it has to start with me. How am I feeling, right? Starting my day right in prayer and devotion and having that time for positive affirmations. When we get our head in the right space, it doesn't matter if somebody cuts us off on the freeway, we laugh and keep going. But if you haven't intentionally prepared yourself to be in the right headspace, oh, that person can really set your entire day off,
Yep.
right? Everything else goes downhill after that person honks the horn at you. And it's just like, do I really want my day to be controlled by somebody honking their horn? Or do I want it to be controlled by God and my intention for setting my intentions for the day, and how I want to show up and represent myself in this day? So again, I think it just really starts. I love the word you use, prioritize, because it's not a luxury. It's truly a necessity.
So good. That's so good. Let's pivot for a second. There are many women that are listening, and I know men listen to the podcast too. You're not left out, but this podcast, this can be relevant for you as well. But there are many women who are struggling with just dedicating 365 days a year. They're struggling with rising up. They're struggling with getting started and staying consistent. And if you could just take a couple minutes, what would you say to these women today?
Yeah, absolutely. It starts with making the decision for yourself.
Mm,
And I say that because there's no amount of motivation in the world that can fix a bad habit, or I like to really term it a misaligned habit, right?
mm,
And I say misaligned habit because we say with our words, we want to be this, we want to be that. But then I ask, what were your actions today? What were your actions yesterday? And if I don't hear any, I mean, this is my coach hat coming out. If I don't hear any actions that align with the person that you told me you wanted to become, then that's a misaligned habit, right? That habit is not conducive to who you want to be. So again, that motivation, it can definitely light a fire. And I love to do that in people. I love to talk and I see the light bulb go off, or I see the sparkle in their eye. However, after we get done talking, there has to be some substance to keep the fire burning. So, 4 quick questions to keep the fire burning. I always ask people, dare to dream, and ask yourself, what do you desire? That's not a question we ask ourselves often. Secondly, what do you deserve? That's a little heavier, right? Because some of us don't even believe we deserve happiness and success. And then thirdly, why were you created? That really gets into our purpose, our gifts and our talents. And then lastly, the one that the first time I posed this question to myself, it hit me below the belt. And I do that intentionally. And I ask, who is waiting on you to get into motion?
ooh,
Genesis 12:2 says, we are blessed to be a blessing. Sometimes we think of that scripture in terms of financial blessings, but we all were born with purpose, gifts, and talents to
yes.
help and to serve someone else. So once we realize this life isn't just about us, isn't just about this person we see in the mirror, but it's who we were created to serve. When
Yeah.
we get to that level, again, it gets you in the gut and it makes you feel like, oh my gosh, somebody's out there waiting for me. And because I'm procrastinating, because I'm sitting on my hands, because I haven't accepted my assignment, because I'm operating out of fear and not faith, because I refuse to add works to my faith, and I'm praying, but I'm still not working. Because of all of those things, that's why we struggle with it. I read this book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. And one of the questions that he posed in the book is not just setting a goal based on something you want to hit, but setting a goal on the person you want to become. And the example he used is, we say we want to lose 20 pounds for fitness reasons, or for, want to look good in a certain outfit that we purchased for our birthday or photo shoot, right? But what if we said we want to lose that 20 pounds so that we can have and live an active and vibrant life for our children or for our spouse? That puts that goal in a totally different perspective. So when when we don't want to get up and put on our workout gear and get on the treadmill or walk around the park, when you think about being healthy and whole for your children and family, you go, let me go to this park. But when you think about, oh, just 20 pounds to look good in a new dress, oh, I can wait until tomorrow. So I challenge us all to dig deeper and say, not just about the goal we say we want to check the box off for, but by achieving that goal, who does that goal truly make you transform into and become? And again, so that helps us when we answer those questions. It won't be so much a struggle anymore. Yeah, there'll be some days, right? It's like, I need some encouragement today, but we'll have more days where we are ready, set, and fired and pumped to go than the days that, we need to take a break.
Yeah, my goodness. You on fire. Okay. I'm just gonna be silent for a second so that people could just feast on what you just said, so it could just marinate. And I love the good thing about a podcast is because you could pause it, come back to it, replay it. It's there, right? Wow. So let me try to land this plane, because I'm so you have me excited and excited, and I have so much that I want to just feast on or more and ask you. But let's kind of pivot to, how can women connect to you? What services do you offer? I know that you provide, you mentioned coaching and masterminds and journal and website. There's a lot that you have to offer. So if you could just kind of take a moment and talk about that.
Sure. Thanks for asking that question. Firstly, folks can go to my website. It's dedicated365.me, M-E, because it starts with each of us. So that's dedicated365.me. When you go to the site, it's going to have a pop-up box. Put in your email address there. Every Monday morning, I send Monday motivation to really get us in gear to be prepared to tackle the week. Also, we're on social media. You can search for Clarissa Joy. That's Joy with an I, on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. I also mentioned our events and experiences. A little too late for the Caribbean cruise, but we'll announce our 2024 destination in July. Also connect with us for the October 7th Women Who Win Big Mastermind. It's on the website. It's also posted on Eventbrite. And then, of course, we have the Winner Circle online community. That should be on the website. Women can go to bit.ly/add to dedicated 365, and it takes you right to the online community. And then lastly, we have our companion tool, the planner journal, that's on the website. Go under shop, as well as our new apparel line, the 3 motivational t-shirts. That's on the website as well under shop. So thank you guys for going out and checking out their website or posting on social, looking for our social. We always appreciate the love and appreciate connecting with new women, with women new to our circle.
Thank you, Clarissa. I'm definitely going to put all of this in the show notes. Y'all, first of all, thank you for joining the podcast. Thank you for sharing your heart, your purpose, your passion with us. Y'all, I really want you to connect with Clarissa. I've got some more connecting to do and kind of plugging into her shop and plugging into, because it's about time I need a new planner for my practice. I need a new planner for my life to get me to continue to keep me right, get me right. So I'm going to be looking at your planner, because to choose a planner is a whole thing for me. I need the right planner. I don't just need planner with just pages I need it to be space. I need to have space to put my appointments. I need some reflective questions to keep me accountable.
Yes.
It's a whole thing, and everybody don't have the right planner. So I'm looking forward to check out your planner for sure from my life. And I'm just really, really excited. Connect with Clarissa. Look at the information on the show notes. This is Wendy Jackson, y'all. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll be back next time with another amazing podcast. Have an amazing day and amazing week on purpose.